Good morning. We're glad to be with you again today to open up the Word of Life in the book of Hebrews. Just a wonderful, wonderful chapter. We call it God's Hall of Fame. We call it God's just those who had great faith who were included in this faith chapter. Starts out by, now faith is being sure of what we hope for, certain of what we do not see. And this is what the ancients were commended for. And then he goes on to talk about faith, and he mentions each one of these names, and he goes down, and it's just a wonderful collection of godly people who've done great things for the Lord. Hebrews chapter 11, God's Hall of Fame. Abel, I understand. He was a good man. I understand Enoch. I've no problem with Noah. 120 years building the ark because God told him. And the ridicule and the suffering that he had to go through. But there he was, a man of faith who built an ark when it didn't even rain. Of course I can understand Abraham, the father of all who believe. Believed God, and it was counted unto him for righteousness. No brainer. And I know why they included Moses in Hebrews chapter 11. Moses, God's great leader, tremendous leader, a man who brought them out of captivity, heading towards the promised land, and all that Moses done and achieved. Just a wonderful, wonderful person. But verse 31 kind of baffles me. By faith, the harlot Rahab. Pardon? By faith, the harlot Rahab perished not with them, because she believed what she had received. And she was the one who hid the spies and kept them from annihilation. Hebrews chapter 11, the great heroes of faith. And only two women are mentioned in the whole chapter. Abraham's wife Sarah, I can understand, a godly woman. But Rahab, a harlot, a prostitute. And yet the Bible has her here as a woman of faith. And she's mentioned in 11:31, listed in the great chapter of faith. James chapter 2, verse 25 describes her as one whose faith proved itself by good works. She hid the spies. Why is it even here? I am convinced that the story of Rahab, it shows us several things, but at least two. It shows us that God can use anyone who is available. And number two, God can save anyone, even a Rahab. And the woman had three strikes against her. Number one, she was a Canaanite and not a Jew. And the Jews were commanded, have no association. You can't intermarry. You can't marry them. Stay away from them. No communication with the Canaanite. And the Canaanites were wicked. They were so wicked that God used Israel as his instrument to judge them. They were idolaters. The woman was a Canaanite. Number two, she was a woman. She was a woman. And women at that time were treated like second-class citizens. No rights. They were treated as property. And God was able to work through this woman. But Number 3, some people would think, worst of all. She was a prostitute. She sold her body for money. God sees potential in every single one of us. And listen, this is a lesson on hope. I hope you get it. It is a lesson on faith, but hope, faith and hope. There's hope for you and me because God sees potential in every single one of us, no matter what our past is. Rahab had all this going against her, but she had one redeeming factor. She had one thing in her favor. It was her faith. Brethren, this is what it's all about. Faith. Faith causes one to repent. Luke 13:3. Faith causes one to confess. Romans 10. Confess with your mouth. Faith, faith, faith. She had heard about Israel's God. And she evidently believed in Israel's God. And maybe it was a fear of death. Who knows? But the woman, she was evidently dissatisfied on the road she was on. And she was wanting something better. So she stepped out in faith. And her life was saved because of this wonderful, wonderful, wonderful deed that she done. Maybe she was a seeker. I don't know for sure what she was. But here's a woman just like Daniel, Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, like Daniel in the lion's den. Rahab. We all know these stories, but here's my question today. Do you believe them? Do you have the faith to, do you believe them? Do you believe them? May God bless you.